From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Wow Report, where we count down the top 10 topics that make us go wow. I am co-founder of World of Wonder, Fenton Bailey, and I'm joined by our Chief Creative Officer, Tom Campbell, and the legendary James St. James, editor of the Wow Report. And I am beside myself with excitement because this week we are so honored to welcome and be joined by
Number 10.
TS Madison.
Oh.
I'm always here because I don't even know why you guys welcome me here. I'm World of Wonder family.
Yes.
Our family, and you're so gracious to come again and again. I promise we won't talk about cannibalism this time.
Well, good, because I'm ready to eat anyway. I want to say this. I would like to put this disclaimer out right now, right. So that everybody's listening to the Wow Report and watching. I would like to say, and I don't want to get emotional, but I would like to say, World of Wonder has been the biggest part of my journey, the biggest part of my career, the biggest part of my star expanding, like the largest part. This has been the biggest part of me. And I want to say thank you to you guys so much for always making me visible in spaces where people didn't even want to look at me, And if it was not for World of Wonder, God putting World of Wonder in my path, in my life, I don't know where my career would be. Like, you guys have been there for me. You guys have made spaces for me. You guys have made I love everybody at Wow. I love everybody.
You are really going to make me cry, and I'm a bitch who never sheds a tear. But you are a star, and thank you for saying that. But you are a star, and never has your star shone brighter, I think, than this past week with your part in Bros.
Number 9.
Yeah, Bros. Now here's the thing. Bros is great, and I really wish they would have let me give them the TS Madison that I wanted to give them. However, I know that I'm an actress, and so I gave them enough to. But I just want to say that Bros is such an amazing thing, and it's such an amazing statement piece for us as LGBTQIA people. And there were so many people that gave the movie excellent reviews, and like Rotten Tomatoes, like we were 95, 97, something really high on Rotten Tomatoes. And I was like, wow, and it feels so good to be a part of something that's so iconic for our community. And I say our community because, and I love Billy. I love Billy. Billy is my people's. But there were some things that came out where Billy had stated that these straight people didn't show up for the film. And here's the thing. This is for us. Straight people remember straight people, they had a nice run, okay?
Great line for the movie.
Yeah, this is for us. And we need to be, as people under the umbrella and under the rainbow, we need to be really deep out here pushing this, celebrating this, and making this thing so solid in our history that people talk about this stuff when they refer to things in LBGT in our community. And so we just need to be, it needs to be more understood. This is for us.
Yes, I do want to just say that it's fabulous as the whole movie is, and the writing and everything is so on point, and everything about it just works. But my favorite scenes are the scenes with you and Miss Lawrence and Dot Marie Jones, who I just love more than life itself. The movie really soars when it goes off on the little, when Harvey Fierstein shows up, when Bowen Yang shows up. Like the casting in it is so spectacular, and everybody has a seat at the table, quite literally. Everybody, all ends of the spectrum are represented. There are thruples, there are orgies. I mean, there's a little bit of everything in gay culture there, and it's so wonderful to see how beautiful you are on the big screen. You are a natural. You need more big screen
Movie
appearances.
star.
Yes, movie star.
Movie
Listen,
star.
James,
Yeah.
listen, I love the way you said that, and because you named everybody, the thruples, the couples, the this, and then there's Steve.
Oh,
my
well,
God.
Steve, can I just tell you, Steve is Theron. I've been in a few orgies with Theron, and that is Theron.
Steve is there's a three-way gonna happen, an orgy, and Steve just shows up at the right time and then tries to put himself into the thing. Either I'm Steve or I'm Harvey Fierstein or I'm
that's
Bo.
what happens.
Oh my God. So this movie is good, and I'm so glad that people that did go out and watch it, and I do believe that there are going to be more people that are going to go out and watch it, because there's so much buzz, there's so much talk about it, there's so much stuff going on around the movie, and I just
two things I want to say. One is what you're saying. It's like, it's for us, it's for the world, it's for everybody. It's going to live on all these platforms afterwards. The idea of getting this made and having the support and having it cast and having it come out good, having it come out great is next to impossible, just on earth. And then I do think, I mean, we think like there's a documentary to be made, but like, what does box office weekend mean anymore? And like, they're going to make their money back. Some of the expectations were set so high that it couldn't help but be kind of perceived as like coming in lower than it was expected. But it's
number
still
4
this
out
incredible.
of 10, 4.
Yeah. And I want to do a review of the movie because I saw it not once but twice this week, and that's how much I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes, we should not be bitching about having a movie in the top 10. I mean, it's just that's a win-win for everybody.
I have a theory that since COVID and people are gradually going back to the movies, the way we watch movies has changed.
Oh, totally.
Look at the "Don't Worry, Darling" fuss over that. It's suddenly the movie has become part of a whole meta experience of everybody having something to say, everybody weighing in, everybody fighting. There's a meta life to the movie.
But now, having said that, though, that one of the arguments about the release of the movie was that it, as a rom-com, first of all, people aren't seeing rom-coms in theaters as much anymore. That's a streaming thing, and that maybe if this was released instead of in October during Spooky Month, that if it was like February 14th or in the summer, it might have gotten more people in the theater. But like you said, once it hits streaming, it's going to be a forever classic. It's
Forever.
It's been made, it is out there, and it will live forever. So,
and the studio will make their money back because there's so many things. It's so much stuff that didn't make the cut that they can use. They can box it up and put it out. We did so much on that film. It was crazy. Like so much. It was so much improv, and the things that you didn't get to see Madison do. Madison did do it. But well, maybe they save it for that.
I want to see that TS Madison edit of Bros.
Oh God, it was a lot. Like there was a part where we oh my God, there was a part where we did the parade. Like there were like the parade was a big thing.
Yeah,
we filmed the parade for like 2 days, and like when I saw the movie, I was like, oh shit, we don't got the good. Where's the stuff that happened? Like it was a fight at the parade, and then like the bloopers where I kept saying LBGT, and Billy would stop saying, Madison, look to your right. The thing says LGBT, and I'm like, well, fuck it, LBGT. It's just a lot of stuff that just happened. I wrote like it was so much things that happened in the boardroom that didn't make the cut. Like the movie was so good. It was so good. And me sitting there watching it in Toronto with 2,000 people getting it. Like getting the jokes, and was laughing at it. I was less critical on myself by the time, because I was critical when it first came out. Because I was like, damn, that's COVID weight on me. Look at all that COVID weight.
Oh no!
Oh no!
That's what I was saying. Look at all that damn COVID weight. I was reading. Then I was like, damn, I should have said the line better than that. And then when I started,
you can't get into your own head. You cannot overthink.
I was there.
I'm not gonna
try. I was there. But when I watched it again, the last time I watched it was in Atlanta on September 29th, the day before it premiered, like to the world, and the people were laughing and I actually saw the movie. Yeah. Like I watched it like 5 times, but the 5th time I saw the movie, and I was like, yeah, this is good.
You were able to get out of your own head a little bit and
Yeah.
just see it as a totality. Yeah.
After I saw it, I went to the premiere here in LA, and I texted Tom immediately right after saying, you got to go see it. And Tom went and saw it the next day. And we were talking, and we were like, there is so much in this movie. It is so packed. Like, it just comes at you like a what's that expression? A hose pipe? Like a
like a speeding train. It's coming at you like a speeding train.
You had me at hose.
And I loved all the little Hallmark parodies. And I fascinating article.
Have a Holly Polly Christmas or whatever.
Yes.
Oh God.
And the movie I want to see, and if I don't see it, I'm gonna go fucking make it, is The Treasure Inside. The movie, the Brokeback parody that they were gonna shoot. The Treasure Inside. Because
The Treasure Inside.
I am sick of all the gay movies, basically, in which the gay people die or have a miserable time or it's heartache. This is full of joy and affirmation. And I just think we're so unused to that as a community.
But by the same token, people have been saying that this is a groundbreaking thing, but we are in a really historical period right now where we have Love, Simon, where we have Moonlight, where we have, a lot of positive gay things that are gay movies that are out there, so much gay product on television. It really is a wonderful time to be gay in Hollywood.
I saw it twice. I laughed both times. I forgot about so many funny things that happened. I teared up several times. I out and out cried more than once. It's I think it really touches upon so many things, and I want my sister or somebody to see it and give me the straight point of view. But I
gotta say that Luke McFarlane, what a little cutie! I had no idea. I
What a
never watched
revelation.
Brothers and Sisters. What a cute! He needs to be a bigger star than he is. We need to cast him in everything.
Yeah.
He's so sweet too, and he has nice feet.
Yeah, I imagine. Very lickable feet. I would lick those feet.
Very nice feet. I told him, I said, ooh, Luke, you have some nice feet. I said, the very first time I met you, I looked at your fingers. And then when I watched you on the screen, I looked at your toes. He says, oh, God, what did you think about them? I said, they're so nice.
Well, okay. And now moving on to number 8.
Number 8.
Madison, TS Madison, you have another starring role dropping very soon. The trailer dropped.
For Bring Back My Girls.
Yes. Tell us about Bring Back My Girls.
Oh, listen. So these fabulous people over at World of Wonder, they always finding me something to do. And I think one of the most fabulous people they always find me, well, 3 of the fabulous people is, Randy Barbato and Fenton Bailey and definitely Tom Campbell. They always finding me something to do. And, we filmed these beautiful bring back shows for reunion shows. I have to say that all of them were spectacular for me. We did them at DragCon. Yep. So the most important one that I'm so excited about was Jada's season, Jada Essence Hall season 12.
Yep.
I'm excited to do that reunion because they didn't get an opportunity to have a proper RuPaul reunion like on television and stuff like that. And so I really felt like that I was filling in for Mother. Like, I was really filling in for Mother. Like, okay, girl. So Ru told me that this is the job that I needed to do while she's gallivanting over there in Netherlands somewhere, honey, doing another drag race. But I felt so good about this because this was the first time that all the girls from season 12 were able to have a proper reunion with a renowned queen.
I remember because their season was shot before COVID, and then just as we were getting ready to do the finale in Vegas, we had to reach out to each of them and say, we're not doing it, we're not gathering. And it was one of the first kind of shut down because of COVID things. And they were angry, they didn't believe us. And we're like, really, this isn't personal, this is really what's happening. And the idea was to, like, this DragCon pass was like, let's reunite them, let's give them the show they wanted. And then we realized, because it was after the COVID thing, the con was full of queens, like more queens than ever before. So we thought, wouldn't it be great to have Madison host cast after cast, region after region, and do these incredible reunions? And Madison Queens are outspoken all by themselves, but with Madison as your host, anything and everything happens. Is all I can say.
How many episodes did you do?
7.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
and Madison, yes, the Canadians. Oh my God.
That's where I was going to say. Now that one was very intense for me because at first I was like, wait, are they really beefing? Is this really a real beef? Because, it's a lot of Drag Race, and it can be a lot of Drag Race for me.
And drag queens can be drama queens and turn it on and off at the drop of a hat, but this was real.
This was real. And I was like, oh, okay, I need to diffuse this because this is like really, no, I don't want this. We didn't come all the way to DragCon to tear DragCon up like this. Like, we're not going to do this. Now, listen, I don't know what's going on between you ladies. But because I haven't seen this, but however, we need to make sure that we know that we're here for the fans. The fans came here to have a good time, and we're not going to give them this. Whatever needs to happen, you ladies need to talk about this outside of this. Do not
take it outside. Take it outside.
Do not give these trolls and the people this thing to live on forever in. Like, oh, we went to DragCon and it was this. No, we're not doing that here. That's not what we're going to do. And I didn't know that I was going to have to do that because I thought everything was, yay, happy joy. But it got real for a minute. And I wasn't scared because I like that kind of stuff. But we were not going to do that. Not on my watch, in the word of Eichner. Not on my watch.
And they really did take it outside. I mean, no one saw that coming. I really
at all. Like I'm the host sitting there, and I was taken back for a moment because I was like, wait, so is there real? Because she asked me, she says, may I speak? I need to speak about something. I said, well, okay, sure. And then she said, well, I'm not gonna. And then the response, it was like ping pong. And I said, hey, this is real. Oh no, we can't do this here. We're not gonna take mother's name.
When TS Madison shuts you down, you know you have crossed a line.
Yeah, because I was like, wait a minute, because I'm all for a good brawl, a good bar fight, honey. I'm for that. But it's just like we have to take.
We're here to celebrate.
Yeah, we're here to celebrate. Like, we just got back from COVID. We all are able to roundhouse, and we're able to do this in front of
to be together, our community.
Yeah, we're not going to do this.
Do you think the House of Love cocktails had anything to do with it? House of Love cocktails sponsored the series.
I want to let you guys know that House of Love cocktails. When I want a real buzz. If you want to really crank my gears up, slide me a House of Love cocktail, honey.
I'll tell you something. I was watching on via camera. I was watching like the Instagram and everything. And as the day progressed, I saw everyone I saw queens falling down. I saw people getting sloppier and sloppier. I saw the drama.
I would like to remind our listening audience that we have delicious canned cocktails in different alcohol levels, and we have mouth-watering mocktails, alcohol-free. So
those cocktails pack a wallop. Boy.
Baby, listen.
We're also saying
watermelon.
We're also saying 2 cocktails, 1 can now, just to help people pace themselves.
Oh, child. Don't send me the mocktails. I want the cocktails.
we had Simone shotgun one at DragCon.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
No.
If you chug it really fast, like if you chug the watermelon one really fast, you will get you'll be able to ooh la la.
Oh my God.
But listen, House of Love did a thing. House of Love did a thing for doing that Bring Back My Girls. House of Love did a thing. It is an amazing thing. And I want to tell you, honey, those English girls.
Yes.
There's some UK.
I was with my eyes squinted a little bit trying to figure out, okay, now I'm trying to understand. I already have the English is, and I read a bit of this, and it's someone from Scotland, and then it's someone from England, and it's from Sussex, and I was like, okay, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I said, fuck it, let me just let them talk. And Taste got up and never came back because she had to pee because she had drank so many. She drank so many House of Love cocktails.
All right. Can I just wrap back to you? You gave us such a compliment early on. I just say TS Madison, knowing you, being in your presence, counting you as a friend and a coworker is just such a light in all of our lives and in my life, I will say. And I don't say that lightly, and I'm not being glib or overstating. We love you. I love you. And here's to a beautiful, wonderful future. Because by the way, for those who don't know, T.S. Madison also is sampled by Beyonce on her.
I was just going to say, Maddie, it has been a hell of a year for you. It is just every time I turn around, you were doing something else. And I saw a TikTok today or something of you, and you were like, I am movie star, I am music, I am streaming, and I am porn. I am everywhere. Turn it up.
That's right. Because this is what I do. Hey, Alexa, who is T.S. Madison?
T.S. Madison Hinton, also known as Maddie, is an American reality television personality, actress, and LGBT activist. With the reality show, The T.S. Madison Experience, she became the first Black trans woman to star in and executive produce her own reality series. Hinton rose to fame in 2013 after going viral following the release of a Vine clip titled New Week 22 Inches. By the way, we have no notification.
Shut up, girl. Hush.
That is amazing. T.S. Madison, we bow down before you. We love and adore you. Every time we see you on the big screen, we just want more. Go see Bros this weekend. Do yourself a favor. T.S. Madison's in it. Many other people. It is a great movie. And the trailer has just dropped for Bring Back My Girls, which is coming to Wow Presents Plus on October 18th, in which T.S. Madison masterfully wrangles multiple casts of multiple seasons of Drag Race in epic reunions with bizarre accents, a drama, both imagined and real, all lubricated by House of Love cocktails. Oh my God. We're going to take a break. When we come back, nothing will be the same. You're listening to the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
I love you, Maddie.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
And welcome back to the Wow Report. It's Fenton here with Tom and James. And we are counting down the top 10 things this week that made us go wow, as usual. And we have reached number 7.
Number 7.
You guys, while this lasts, maybe it's just a bubble, but I'm going out to crowds and seeing shows and seeing people. And this past weekend, this is my sleigh bill for Drag the Rusical.
The musical, sweetie. The musical.
You've got Rue on your mind. You've got Rue on the brain.
I can't even say normal words right anymore. It's a musical. And it is at the Bourbon Room on Hollywood Boulevard. Have you ever heard of the Bourbon Room?
Never.
No, where is it? I don't know anything about it.
It's just beyond Popeyes on Hollywood Boulevard.
Now I know exactly where we are.
It's upstairs. So I think it used to be another club and we did something else there, but it's been rebranded.
Was it like Cinematech or something? Was it Cinema? Yes.
I think so, yes. And it's kind of a cool space. Again, I haven't been out in 2.5 years, but it's got a big outside bar and restaurant-y kind of thing, very hipster crowd. And then the long line is you go into like a theater that holds maybe, 150, 200 people with tables. And there it is, Drag the Musical. And it stars so many people that you know and love. Alaska Thunderfuck, who's very involved in the writing of it as well. Jujubee, Jackie Cox, Jan Sport, Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block. And the other co-lead with Alaska is Nick Adams. And I didn't know Nick's name, but Nick was a star on Broadway in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert. So he's no stranger to Broadway, nor to drag. And also Aria Cassadine, who was on Queen of the Universe, Fenton will remember, also has a prominent role.
She's the fantastic singer, isn't she?
All of them. Everyone sounds great. And I left feeling so impressed, and proud sounds condescending because I had nothing to do with it, but just like, this is a real production. This is, it plays on the weekends. The crowd ate it up with a spoon and a little bit of gin. It ticks all the boxes. It's about two rival clubs and they're in trouble and there's a history and they have to work together at the end. And Joey McIntyre plays the straight brother of one of the queens, and it's
Wait, but take away. Is he still just as cute as can be?
oh my God, Joey McIntyre,
he is such a little darling.
He might be cuter than he's ever been.
Yes, he had a glow up. He was a cute kid, and now he is just a hot daddy, isn't he?
He may be the reason I turned out gay, because I think he was my first crush. He was my favorite in New Kids on the Block.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he's done two things that are very smart and two things that I was unable to do. He kept all of his hair, and he's super thin. He's thin like a teenager. He's thin like someone who's 22, doesn't even have to try to be thin. And he's quite good. So, I mean, the amount of, as we know, but the amount of time and organization and, anything in the theater is such a wing and a prayer. And they've really put together something that's worthwhile, proud of them all. And we'll see where it goes next. And if it lives beyond, I think it's playing for a couple of weeks or for the month.
It runs through October 15th at the Bourbon Room, and we'll put a link to buy tickets and showtimes on the Wow Report.
But if you're listening to this or watching this, you probably are a fan of drag. And don't forget, Slaybill, Drag, the Rusical, with all the wonderful people I mentioned.
Adore. All right, number 6, James.
Number 6.
Number 6. This one is a shout out to Blake. This one is I'm suggesting something for you. I really want you to take me seriously and pay attention, unlike the others here who never pay attention to my suggestions. But this is Big Sky on ABC, David E. Kelly's series that we've talked about before. But each season, it's set in the backwoods, Montana, and it's always these sort of crazy, spooky characters. And there's these two hotsy-totsy detectives who, take down serial killers and drug cartels and whatever. And every season, it's a different bad guy. In this season, it's there's a serial killer in the woods who's carving the hearts out of campers and hikers, and some guy goes missing. And down the road, Reba McEntire has set up camp, and she has a glamping company in which high-end rich people come and have high-end camping experiences. And she's a little off. There's something a little off about Reba, and you don't know what it is. And you sort of and by the end of the first episode, spoiler alert, she's making s'mores, and she takes him out into the woods, and she's like, "Come on, baby, come on out. Mama wants to talk to you." And the serial killer comes limping out, and he's this sort of crazed mountain man. And she's like, "Mama knows what you've been up to, and Mama's not happy. Mama told you to stay low." And so she's like this crazy mother of a crazed serial killer. And it is so much fun. She is so hysterical. You don't need to know anything else about the show. You just need to know that every season, so you can start at the first episode of this season, and it is. So
you had me at Reba.
Yeah, she was my first 3 concerts ever. I love Reba. I had a life-size cardboard cutout of her holding a bag of Fritos in my bedroom when I was a kid. She's playing the Hollywood Bowl next April, and I have to go and get tickets.
Well, I saw her I told you I saw her. She was in South Pacific at the Hollywood Bowl. Randy took me to go see that. That was absolutely spectacular. The other very quick thing I got to shout out about this season of Big Sky is that Jensen Ackles has joined the cast, and he is the sheriff. He's the sheriff, and he is so handsome. Easily the handsomest man on television. He's so good looking, and he's so gruff, and he's very sexy, and he's getting it on with all the women on the show. And he's also having a sort of a renaissance too, because he's also on The Boys now. He is Soldier Boy on The Boys, and he is just as sexy on that. So it's a Jensen Ackles palooza happening in the world, but Reba too. So watch Big Sky, everybody. Keep it on television.
Has there been an opportunity, or do you imagine there will be an opportunity for Mama Reba to sing?
I believe so, because there's a lot of she's sitting around the campfire, and she's and I think she's sort of hummed a little bit. She's like,
May I suggest that's the night the lights went out in Montana?
There you go.
Sold.
Big Sky, Wednesdays, 10 p.m. ABC. I don't want to bring the atmosphere down, but number 5.
Number 5.
Bleeding for Jesus. This is a story that is unfortunately not a drama or unscripted, though it perhaps could be and should be. Let me set the table. I went to boarding school, right? Which in England, they're known as public schools, confusingly enough, because
I've never understood that.
They're private schools and you have to pay, and it's considered the best education money can buy. Your parents scrimp and scrape and give everything they have. They make this huge sacrifice to send you to these honestly horrendous places, or they were Dickensian, Harry Potter without the magic, bullying, trauma, nasty, dark, violent. So I'm just going to set that scene. So there I am in the 70s at one of these places, and it's 1972 in the UK was the first gay pride. In 1976, Gay Times caused a huge scandal when it published a poem of a centurion, Roman centurion, standing at the base of the cross as Jesus is crucified, having a sexual fantasy about Jesus. And the country
I'm disgusted even in 2022.
There you go. That's good to know. Country was in an uproar, and Mary Whitehouse, who was this sort of self-styled defender of public morality, a bit of an old bag, sues the Gay Times for blasphemy, a law that hasn't been used in hundreds of years and never successfully. She sues, but the twist is they win. They win the case. And thanks to her brilliant attorney, prosecutor, zealous, Christian, upstanding, handsome, good-looking, sporting man called John Smythe. Now, the thing about John Smythe, family man, married, is that he also runs Christian camps in the summer holidays for boys from these public schools to go to and do sports and be Christian men.
Uh-oh.
Do you know where this is going? Yeah.
Yes.
And he lived near, not by chance, happened to live near the oldest public school in Britain, Winchester. And what he would do is he'd invite fellow young Christian men from the school over to his house for lunch. His wife would cook a lovely lunch, and it was all lovely. And then they would be taken to the garden shed at the bottom of his garden. And he'd put up a little white flag, which meant do not disturb. So I guess wife needed to stay away. He would strip them and cane them with thousands of strokes for Jesus, bleeding for Christ. Oh, he would strip too, by the way. And even though there was nothing sexual about this,
no,
a naked man and a schoolboy being beaten, I mean, until blood ran down their legs and they had to wear diapers, and horrendous.
And how do we know this? Is there a book, a movie? What's going on?
Well, if you were paying attention at the beginning, I said, I'm reading a book called Bleeding for Jesus.
I wasn't paying attention.
No, that's all right.
No, I'm terribly sorry. Keep going.
No, it's all right. You know what? I might not have set it up properly. So thank you, James. Yeah, I spent the weekend reading this book, Bleeding for Jesus, aptly titled. So eventually the school found out about this. Did they go to the authorities?
No.
They just banned him from the school. And then the church found out about it. Did they go to the authorities?
No, of course not.
No. They sent him on a mission to Africa, to Zimbabwe, where he started doing the exact same thing.
Of course.
Long story, very short. Never stood trial for any of it. Died before justice could catch up with him. The church and the school all said, oh, we didn't know. But it is a jaw-dropping story. I mean,
now, did anyone know at the time? Did you know anything that was weird about this John Smythe or whatever?
At the time, he was this upstanding moral crusader. I guess that should have been the
you remember the gay. You remember when that happened in '76 when they were sued?
Oh, absolutely. It was headline news. Yeah.
Okay.
So a fascinating story, and yet one that just reemphasizes that a religious zealot is a cause of danger and harm to all those around him or her, right?
Yeah.
Spirituality, one thing. Religious zealot has to get inside you, has to stop things, has to force you to see things their way. They're dangerous, scary people. Very simple.
Danger, I mean, life is full of Republicans who are sort of anti-gay and then get caught with the rent boy, but the sort of level of hypocrisy and insanity of this is just so epic, especially since he won this blasphemy case. It's like my mind is completely blown. And I spent the whole weekend reading this book. Then there's some news reports. I mean, I've just been like sunk in it. So
well, it sort of sounds like this is the perfect week to be reading it when we have the hypocrisy of the right surrounding Herschel Walker for, propping him up after his abortion thing. But do you think that this is like a Netflix series? Do you think that this is a movie? What do you think it is?
It's unbelievably, and I happen to know two people at different schools who were involved in this and got sucked into it in different ways. And I just realized, oh my God, this is an incredible, epic story and hasn't really been told. So hands off.
Reading for Jesus. And who's the author?
The author is Andrew Greystone.
Make a call.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. I have a completely self-serving promo. Screen Age, How TV Shaped Our Reality, from Tammy Faye to RuPaul's Drag Race by Fenton Bailey, described as a riotous behind-the-scenes look at all things pop culture, with a foreword by Graham Norton, is published in the UK, November 17th. And we just did the cover reveal this week, so we'll post that on the WoW Report. But
how exciting!
Awesome.
Are you having a good time?
I'm fully anxious, and I read the audiobook last week, and I was like, did I really say that? Did I? Like having to read it in your head is one thing, but to read it aloud, you're like, you really have to own those words.
Will you be doing any readings and signings at bookstores?
Yes, but it's not coming out in the US till the spring, but you can pre-order your hardback copy now.
And are you happy with everything? Are you happy with the font? Are you happy with the cover? Are you happy with the
Love the font. If only it was just about the font.
All those things really do matter, though. If you go into it happy with everything, the making of it, then it ends up being a beautiful experience.
I will just throw to break with a lovely quote from Michelle Visage. Quote, Screen Age is a must read. We finally have a book that recognizes the profound and positive impact television has had on all our lives.
Nice.
Thank you, Michelle. All right. We'll be right back after the break. This is the WoW Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders WoW Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the WoW Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake, of course. Okay, so we've reached number 4.
Number 4.
I have a Rest in Perfection that comes from my heart. The queen of country music, Loretta Lynn, passed away at 90 years old. And I don't know how much Loretta Lynn means to you. I always say I like a lot of different kinds of music. I grew up in rural New Hampshire. There was WCNL AM radio. They played country music. She was always on Hee Haw. But in the 90s or so, I really got deep into like going through and researching lots of female vocalists, Tammy Wynette, Loretta Lynn, and others, Patsy Cline, on and on and on. And I have to tell you, Loretta Lynn, whose story we all know, or you could know by watching Coal Miner's Daughter, the movie with Sissy Spacek, which won Oscars back in the 70s. But she was a feminist. She wrote a song, don't come home a drinking with loving on your mind. You ain't woman enough to take my man. The Pill. She wrote all, like, if Tammy Wynette was all stand by your man. And if you keep going out to bars, I'll put a jukebox in our basement kind of thing, all these kind of suffering woman things. Loretta Lynn was the absolute opposite in her music. And she wrote most of her music. And she has an amazing life because I think she was married like at 14 or 15. She said she left home because her mother had a whole bunch of babies and she didn't want to rock the cradle no more. And so she got married. And then in the first 4 years, she had 4 children. And so that was like the late 40s is when she got married. And her career started in the 1960s. And she was best friends with Patsy Cline, who then died very tragically. And Loretta has gone on to surpass Patsy and had so many number ones. She's country. They call her a rural survivor. I don't know. What do you guys have any thoughts of
Well,
Loretta Lynn?
I do want to also say that all of that is absolutely spectacular, and she sings from her heart, and she sings about what she knows, and she's a strong woman. But she also, in the 2000s, had a real big comeback with Van Leer Rose, which she did with Jack White, and she won a buttload of Grammys for that, and it introduced her to a whole new generation of people who were able to idolize her. And she has been recording for 50 odd years, and I mean, you can go through her discography and find something for you that speaks to you, because she is just an amazing woman, and it's very sad.
She's such an original, and her music lives on,
and her those big wigs and the long gowns that she beaded herself. She is a drag queen prototype right there. Her gowns are something spectacular.
Absolutely. So rest in perfection, Loretta Lynn, and do yourself a favor and go to your Spotify or whatever and play some Loretta Lynn songs, and you'll know what we're talking about, or be reminded how amazing. I don't want calling her Elvis is crazy, but she has that same kind of distinctive, primal, and you can't sing a Loretta Lynn song without a deep accent. Because she you can't sing.
I was born a coal miner's daughter.
Exactly. Anyway, love you, Loretta.
All right, let's move on to number 3, James.
Number 3.
I watched the 3-hour Netflix movie Blonde over the weekend, and I've got to tell. Well, first of all, it's the story of Marilyn Monroe as told by Joyce Carol Oates, who is, in my opinion, the greatest living writer. She is my absolute favorite. I have three shelves dedicated to her. She can do no wrong in my eyes. This is an account of the abuse that she suffered in her life. And we were talking about the Elvis movie a couple of months ago. And Tom, you were saying that it's sort of a pastiche, that it didn't go deep enough, that it was all surface and didn't tell the real story. This is the opposite of that. This is, it delves very deeply into every childhood abuse that she suffered at the hands of her mentally unstable mother. It is every sexual abuse at the hands of Hollywood executives, every physical and emotional abuse that she suffered at the hands of her husbands and lovers. And, it's done in a brutally graphic way. And, the thing is, that was her life. And if you want to understand her, you need to understand everything that she went through to become Marilyn. And I was able to take it. Tom, you are not allowed to watch this movie specifically. I am saying do not ever go near this movie. You cannot handle it. This is not a Tom Campbell movie, okay?
Thank you.
But on Twitter, there's a critic named Dan Therio, and I want to read to you what he said because it makes perfect sense to me. He called it a visceral and imagistic film in which the directorial delivered with directorial confidence about a woman who it was her tragic rise from her beginnings to the heights to back down again. She was abused and complicit in her own unraveling. And that's sort of the key to understanding her, is that she was a part of all of the abuse that happened to her.
And that doesn't feel like victim shaming to you, that you didn't come away from the film, because that's a lot of the criticism.
Well, it is, but she was a victim, and there is no way around that. There is no way you can ever get around the fact that she participate. There are some scenes where she's participating in a way that's very uncomfortable, but I don't mind being uncomfortable and challenged in a work of art. This Dan Therio goes on to say that the savage reviews in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the New Yorker represent an embarrassing example of film critics not standing up for risky visionary art and capitulating to the present prudish, politically correct, authoritarian, and anti-art movement that is happening in America today. And that's where the criticism comes from, where everybody wants it to be this self-empowered woman who rises above all of her abuse and goes on to tackle Hollywood and become a superstar. But that's not the story that they're telling, and that's not the story that Joyce Carol Oates told. And even if it isn't beat for beat correct of what happened in her life, the overall image of the abuse that this woman took is something that needs to be told, especially in a Me Too movement where it isn't polished and it is presented as brutal as what happened to Marilyn, and it is a story that needs to be told, and we need to, it's like telling the Harvey Weinstein story and not showing what he did. You know what I mean? Like it hasn't. Joyce Carol Oates even said, this is she thinks it's a brilliant film, brilliantly directed, but she says it is not for everybody, and it isn't for everybody. I happen to like these things, and I'm able to do.
There was something I read where an unborn fetus speaks?
Yes. Well, there are some weird directorial choices where the unborn fetus is yelling at her, saying, are you going to treat me the way you did the last one? And it gets a little corny and weird. And then there's a scene where she's having an abortion, and it's shown from the point of view of the vagina. And there's a lot of stuff that is like, but once you're 2.5 hours in, it all just sort of washes over you at some point. But the casting is very odd because Ana de Armas, who was in Knives Out, is Marilyn, and every once in a while her Spanish accent sort of comes through, and you're like, this is an odd choice, but she does an absolutely flawless job of getting to the poignancy and the beauty and the way that she was able to transcend and put it all onto the screen, put every bit of hurt and pain in her life on screen, and you feel every moment when you watch a Marilyn Monroe movie. And it's easily Oscar bound.
What I've done out of Celebration of Marilyn is to revisit the Mark Shaman, Scott Whitman songs from Bombshell, which are very poignant. But I need a little bit more in a Broadway context in order to.
Well, I'll tell you something, because there are 3 things that I've watched about Marilyn. One, there's a short story that Truman Capote wrote about spending the day with her that captures her better than anything I've ever seen. It's called Beautiful Child. There's Norman Mailer wrote a book called Of Women and Their Elegance, in which he's speaking in Marilyn Monroe's voice. And you would think, what the fuck does Norman Mailer, how can he get the Marilyn experience? But he does. And then just go back and watch some of her movies, go back and watch
Comedy Genius.
Well, Comedy Genius, but also there's a poignancy and she will break your heart in so many scenes. My favorite is Prince and the Showgirl, that she had so many problems working with Laurence Olivier because his acting style was very mannered and hers was very sort of sloppy. But when you see them together, she just vibrates off the screen. And I just say, if you have problems with the movie, go back and watch some Marilyn Monroe.
And this may be reductive, but she was an addict.
Yeah.
And stories of addiction, whether it's all those people, they all end really ugly, or like a lot of behavior that happens during those periods is we don't usually see it, right? Like I made the joke that in Elvis, he was with 2 girls with their bras on at the same time. You didn't see the debauchery of what a disease and what, being out of your skin, out of your whatever. Anyway, so this one.
It's very true. Right. But the addiction wouldn't have happened without the abuse, and the abuse wouldn't have happened. I mean, everything dovetails on everything else, and just what this poor woman went through. But to be able to leave us with such an amazing legacy, it's just a story that just is as old as Hollywood.
And Tom, you are right that those stories almost invariably end the same way, but I suppose the journey is always different. And she was such a luminous character and such a fascinating, magnetic.
And this really does a good job of showing how she was able to transform all of that into these powerful screen performances.
Well, that is Blonde, streaming on Netflix, correct?
Yeah.
They're really pushing it these past few weeks. Dharma and Blonde, I mean,
and the Dahmer too, which is on Netflix, that's getting a lot of controversy and numbers.
Number 2. Don't hate me. I bought the latest book in a genre that is overflowing. It's called Confidence Man. It's by Maggie Haberman. The New York Times.
No, you didn't. You gave money to that horrible woman.
It's about Trump. It's another book about Trump. I can't stop. Here's the reason. I I was thinking about, I felt that I would need to account on today's show about why I keep reading these books about Trump. And it is true in the sense that I just can't get enough. And I think what it is I can't quite believe that people still don't understand or recognize what a dangerous, horrible, evil threat this person is. And so I'm still flabbergasted to read books that try to find a rational explanation or seek to amaze us with stories about his appalling, bad, hideous, evil behavior. It's as if, like, haven't you read any of the other books? Haven't you been, And then I had a second unkind thought, which is Maggie Haberman is a New York Times reporter reporting for New York Times every day. Why was she sitting on this stuff?
Well, that's just the whole crux of the damn story.
Where the F was the news when it could have made a difference, when we needed to know it?
So many of these people are doing that. So it has become a whole genre of book of people who are holding on to their stories and it long past the time where it could have done anything to help.
I think it's
MAGA Haberman is her name. MAGA, not Maggie, because the story of Maggie, how her mother, she was the Kushner family PR person. She is the person, she is the one who she's had access to. She's done work with Ivanka and Donald Jr. and Eric. She has access to the Trumps like nobody else on the planet, and she uses it for her own gain instead of taking it to the New York Times where she should be sending it. She had all these stories and she sat on them. I can't believe you gave this horrible woman your money.
And the other interesting thing is, I think in a way what she has done is not dissimilar to the way Trump has secreted secret documents in Mar-a-Lago. She's basically taken all this information, sat on it until she can release a book.
Profit from it.
In the introduction, as she's skewering Trump, so she said something along the lines of, like, people make it always about themselves. Hello. She's talking about herself, how she had access to Trump, how Trump looked to her and said, what do you want me to say? How Trump said she was his psychiatrist. It's like, it's not just about
How
Trump.
How dare you try and have journalistic objectivity in your job at the New York Times when you are, in fact, his go-to and the person that he's, unleashed. It's maddening.
The other thing is, I watched that series about the New York Times. So she's in it and she comes across as kind of sniffy and unfriendly and sort of unforthcoming. But in this introduction, because it's 600 pages long and I'm only on the first 50 pages and who knows how far I'll get. But anyway, in the introduction, she talks about how, she's astonished at how people decided to start behaving like Trump. And that is her point, to point out how people who oppose Trump quickly became Trump-like in terms of trading insults and exceeding the facts. And I was like, you bitch, what a piece of work.
Here you are. Now you're the one who's insulting the people who were supposed to be buying the damn book.
Well, there you go. Exactly. And anyway, so that is Confidence Man from Maggie Haberman.
MAGA Haberman. And
the
thing is that the good thing is that she is ratioed every time she tweets anything, that she will tweet something and there will be 10,000 people calling her out on her bullshit on Twitter. But the bad thing is that CNN has doubled down and has her on every damn day to be a talking head about something because CNN is now
the MAGA network.
Yeah.
All righty. We'll take a quick break. RuPaul's Drag Race UK Series 4 airing now on Wow Presents Plus worldwide. Sign up for Wow Presents Plus because if you're not subscribed, you're not watching all of Drag Race. All right, we'll take one more break, and then when we come back, we'll come back with the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
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 You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James. We've been counting down the top 10 things that made us go wow. We've had TS Madison. We've had all sorts of hijinks, but we've reached number one. What is the number one thing this week, James?
Number one.
I have a personal disclosure that I would like to get off my chest. I would like to confess to something. I've given up Days of Our Lives. After 30 plus years of watching my soap opera, I have decided enough is enough. I am done. It's always been creaky and hoary and corny as fuck. It has always been the worst lit TV show on the planet. The acting has always been very questionable. The script, this is the one that always has the possessions, that people are being possessed by the devil and people coming back from the dead.
And you loved every minute of it, James.
I loved every minute of it. And I watched it with my mother, and we would talk after every episode, as so many people do with their soap operas. My best friend, Junkie Jonathan, and I would watch it after the clubs every day in the 90s. But it's really gone downhill since it moved from NBC onto streaming, onto Peacock. And I wanted to support it. I wanted to, champion it and say that it was a good thing, but it isn't a good thing. And when it's not there on your DVR every day and you have to go search it out and you have to pay for it, you get a little irritated with it. And it seems to me that the quality of the writing has gone down more than ever. It feels like the actors were just making it up as they go along. Like they just sort of said, in this scene, so-and-so came back from the dead, go. And like everybody's just sort of like making it. It feels really unpolished. And the instead of opening up the possibilities on streaming, and you can go a little farther with the sex scenes, and it feels like everything has gotten smaller and smaller and smaller. And it's very sad for me, because it is, throughout my life, it has been a through line. If I move someplace, it's still with me. If I have a breakup, it's still with me. If I have, a new job, I can, it's been a part of my life for all these years, and I hate to give it up, but I am, and I feel bad, but it's just, I don't know what to do.
My soap, All My Children, rest in peace, has been off forever. And I tell you, every now and then, like 3 years ago, by 6 years, it'll be a rainy afternoon. I'm home from work, whatever. I'm like, I wonder what's happening in Pine Valley. So maybe, but I can't go back. Maybe you'll take a trip back to Salem in a month or two, and maybe it'll bring you some joy.
Maybe, because I love all the characters so much, and they are they're a family. They're part of my life, but for some reason I'm not connecting.
And time moves so slowly on soap operas that in 2 months you'll only have missed like 2 days.
It's true.
I was counting on you to keep me up to date with the satanic subplot line. Like, did you never get that resolved? Do you know what?
No, we did. Satan kidnapped the baby and was kidnapped a pregnant woman and was going to go and be birthed into the Antichrist. And but then they put him in his Pentagon and sent him back to hell.
Oh, so it's all done. Oh, well, then
that's all done. But now there's these masks that like you can look like anybody that you want. You put on this rubber mask and you can be any other character on the show. So there's like all like 3 of the same character running around causing mayhem. It's very silly.
They all look like Lisa Rinna.
we should be so lucky.
Well, that's all we have time for this week on the Wow Report. Thank you, James, and thank you, Tom. Thank you, TS Madison, for continually inspiring us. And thank you, Blake. Oh, and thank you for listening. Same time, same place next week. Until then, go out and do something that makes the world go
wow.
Wow.